Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about the features of federalism. Features means identification marks. You identify a person by looking at his face. Sometimes you say his face is round in shape. Sometimes you say his face is square in shape. Sometimes you say his eyes are of different color. Because his nose is like this. So, these are the identification marks of human beings. Thus, there are some identification marks for federal structure of government. First identification mark for a federal structure of governments is there are more than one level of government. So when there are more than one levels of government, we say there is a federal government. There will be a central government. There are governments in the provinces. Again, sometimes may divide it and give it to the local levels also. So when there are more than one level of government, we call it a federal structure or a federal government. So that is the first identification mark. Means there are different levels. Now when we come to second level or second identification mark, see, one government looks after the administration of the country, and every citizen is governed by two levels of the government. Most of you are coming from Karnataka. You are given the scholarship by Karnataka government. So naturally you have been controlled by the state governments. You are provided assistance by the state government. But you are studying in an institution which is governed by the central government rules and regulations. There are contradictions when we speak or when we look at it, but there is no contradiction in real situation, because it is clearly mentioned what are the functions and powers of the central government, and it is clearly mentioned what are the powers and functions of the state government. So areas of administration, we call it jurisdiction, is clearly mentioned in each government, central government as well as state governments. If the areas of jurisdiction or the authority is not mentioned, there is a conflict. Now your scholarship will be provided by the state government, is clearly written there. If the state government is not providing, who will provide? Nobody will provide. No chance of getting money. And in addition to that, central government has promised to pay the scholarship of the students or pay the fees of the students who join in National Defense Academy. So that is a separate activity. That's being done by the central government. So clear-cut divisions are there on activities concerning the citizens. So specific matters of legislation, as we had already discussed about items mentioned in the central list, state list and concurrent list. Legislation, taxation, administration, everything is clearly written down in the constitution. Thus, we can understand it is a federal structure. That's important. You see, here it is clearly government of the state specified in the constitution. If it is not written, or if it is not specified in the constitution, there can have a conflict. That is why the areas of administration is clearly mentioned in the constitution. And the constitution itself tells there are central governments and state governments. Governments at the central level and state level. So, the levels of government are guaranteed by the constitution. It is mentioned in the constitution. That is why there is central government and state governments. Central government cannot say it is our whims and power, we will give you power if we wish. Because it is not given by central government, it is given by the constitution. That is the importance of the constitution. That is an identification mark or a feature of a federal structure. Now, change of the governmental system or the constitution itself. In India, we have a parliamentary system of government. The Prime Minister is the head of the government. He is the member of the parliament. The Prime Minister remains in power if the majority members in the parliament supports him. If majority members in the parliament do not support the Prime Minister, he has to resign. So that structure of government cannot be amended or changed by the central government without the consent of the state governments. Minimum 50% of the states should agree for any kind of changes in the constitution which affects the center-state relationship. Central government can make rules and regulations on the items mentioned in the central list. For that, central government need not seek the consent of the state governments. But to change the entire system, the state governments also should agree. So that is another feature of a federal government. Then there should be an umpire, because when human beings interact each other, chances of dispute is normal. Even at home, among the brothers there are disputes. Among the family members there may be dispute. If the brothers are having friction among themselves, the matter reaches to the father or mother and they solve the problem. So the father and mother performs the duty of a court, or they become an umpire and they solve the dispute. So there should be a third party who can solve the conflict that may arise between the levels of government. So that third party or the umpire is the court of any country. In India, we call it Supreme Court. And the court will say what is written in the Constitution, what is the explanation of those words in the Constitution. The central government cannot explain or justify or interpret the Constitution as it pleases. The interpretation of the Supreme Court would be accepted by center and state governments. So an umpire is compulsory. That is, the courts are compulsory in a federal structure to solve the disputes between different levels of government. Now, source of revenue. State government also needs money, central government also needs money. You know, taxation was a complement or a gift given by the members of the society to a person who could not go for the work. In the population increased, so one person was given the responsibility to write down who will go for which work, and next day who will go for which work. So that person could not go for the work on that day. He also wanted food and materials. So the persons who have gone for hunting, the persons who have gone for fishing, the persons who have gone for agricultural activities, bring a share of their product and hand over to the person who was sitting there and plan the activities for that day and next day, and who will assign the responsibilities. Since all the members of the society gave him money or the products share, he got a plenty of it. So when his work increased, he appointed members to help him. So he appointed security person. So, and that security person would be paid salary or money from the share what he got from other members of the society. So the voluntary contribution of each member was the tax at that time. Later on, it became compulsory, and now we pay tax for the government to run its day-to-day activities. So central government also need money, State government also need money. They collect the money by taxation. So that is another feature of the federation, where there is a central government and state government collecting taxes separately. Now this system of federal government cannot survive if there is no mutual trust and agreement between the central government and state governments. In this system, it is easy to accommodate a diversity, differences, and easy for each state or a country to survive. That is the achievement of a federal structure. So where there is a mutual trust between state government and central governments and other levels of government, we will have a good federation. So that mutual trust is another feature of a federal government. Thank you very much.